as you guys know, this is an Ask the DAO anything kind of thing. Hopefully, all kind things that you'll ask, but that remains to be seen. But before we open it up, there's some stuff, and while we were able to, get Adam some of Adam's time in the schedule, I wanted to start off with something that Adam will explain to you, and I kind of want to set it up. I've been, teasing out in Discord that there was something about verified by blocks. You guys know that there was a call that we all had the other day, and Adam's going to explain something that we're doing with verified by blocks, but let me set it up. So, as you guys, I think know, but in case you don't, our partners over at HUMBL took blocks and they developed verified by blocks technology. And I'm thrilled to let you guys know that they are patenting that technology, and the name of the patent will be verified by blocks. So super exciting, but we were kind of talking collectively, Calvin and I and Adam and other senior executives from HUMBL, as well as representatives from their technology group, about how you package this up so that not only is something that is, a revenue source for our partners over at HUMBL, but also, is able to complete the mission of that ever chasing stick that we have of when technology is developed using blocks, having it positively impact blocks and the need to have blocks acquired on the open market. And some very bright people all got together and came up with a concept that I think is really, really cool. And I'll let Adam explain the bones of it to you, and then we'll take questions specifically on that before we open it up to broader questions.
Cool. Thanks, David. Hey, everybody. Yeah, so this idea, right, we've been trying to figure out how to make verification using blocks incredibly simple for like third-party partners. And with HUMBL, we can actually build out a technology like via API, right? So other third parties can integrate a simple API call to get NFTs verified or other assets verified. And that way they're just making a post request, they get some data back, and then they can show their users. So it's very low integration expense for a partner to do it that way. And for us, like on the HUMBL side, we can actually charge per API call kind of a thing, and HUMBL can generate revenue that way. There's also deals where you could package up, you can make 1 million API calls a year or something and kind of bundle it into a package that way. And HUMBL can kind of charge however they want on the front end to generate revenue. But on the back side of that, right, we're putting data onto a blocks transaction ultimately. So there's going to be a hot wallet in the API where, and potentially this could connect to multiple different blockchains, right? So you could verify it on a number of different blockchains using one API. And then HUMBL could then fulfill that business model that Blocks had, where we, blocks are purchased on the open market, and they're swapped potentially for those sidechain tokens. And then we have hot wallets that supply those sidechain tokens to get the data on chain. And that would all happen sort of seamlessly in the background for the partner and just make it super easy to use blocks. And then HUMBL would replenish those hot wallets with blocks on the open market, and then, get those revenues from the partner on the front end. But I'll just stop there before it gets too complicated.
Yeah, so just to clarify, and then Calvin, if you just want to add some color behind it, what we're talking about is not only a way for verified by blocks to be used on the HUMBL platform and for NFTs, but we're talking about being able to utilize verified by blocks on any platform. So we all know all the issues that OpenSea has been having. So for example, just as an example, if OpenSea wanted to use verified by blocks, that's something that they'd have to contract with through these API calls, and they would pay X amount for that. The interesting part of this process, one of the interesting parts, is that there was a two-part potential API call charge for. One would be when you're minting in the case of an NFT, when you're minting an NFT, there'd be a charge, and that would be a charge of X, and that would have blocks associated on the back end, and then there could be another API call charge every time, a very small charge, very small, nominal, almost unnoticeable, every time verification is asked for. This is something not just to be used inside of the Humble NFT domain, but as an example, OpenSea, who we know had all these issues before, would be able to license or purchase, as Adam was pointing out how this could be bundled, the right to do those API calls. And forgive me, I don't know what I said that was cut off. One of the exciting things about this was the idea that there would initially be a charge for the while minting. There could be an API call for while whatever an NFT, in the case of an NFT, is being minted. But then there would be a very nominal, almost unnoticeable, very small charge every time that someone wanted to verify the originality of, in this case, that NFT. So it's a terrific, lucrative model, especially if you get mass adoption. Because let's say, and I'm making numbers up, let's say it's a penny every time somebody wants to check verification. Well, they're not going to care. But if you have 5 million people doing that, twice a day, it adds up. The other thing I was pointing out was you have to think beyond NFTs, right? Because this is verified by blocks for anything. So in the case of, for example, supply chain, verified by blocks should be used to provide authenticity for origin assurance. So not just for, as an example, when a box of Rolexes or a case of Rolexes leave the Rolex factory and get shipped, and to verify the authenticity of them when they arrive. But also think about when people steal things, like they steal actual the real product, whether it be Louis Vuitton or Gucci or Rolexes. Well, if you can't verify those as originals and authenticate them, well, you just solved a big problem for high-end luxury good providers who get their actual original stuff stolen and sold on the black market. That now loses value because it can't be authenticated. So I just think that this is really, really exciting. And Calvin, if I missed anything that you wanted to add on to.
Well, this is the point that I wanted to make. Just kind of going back a little bit more to the technology side. The hardest part about a brilliant idea is the implementation, because you might have the perfect solution, but getting that solution out to market or getting it into the hands of the people who can consume that technology is really the lift. And this whole time, we have, Adam has built these awesome modular solutions where people that have kind of a good hand at programming, they can pull this down, they can run it as a module, and it's easy to implement. But if we want to go to market with this and we want to approach large companies that are doing NFTs or other things in supply chain, the tough part of bridging that gap between having it and using it is this implementation. And right now, we'd have to come to a group and be like, all right, well, we've set this up, but we're going to need to do some programming. We're going to have to put this into your system. We're going to have to add some code to your current code base, and we're going to have to run this subroutine. Oh, by the way, you're going to need some blocks so that you can execute these smart contracts. There's just a lot of pieces, and people get lost very, very easily in any number of those steps. Well, the brilliant part about this is that if HUMBL patents an API solution, HUMBL can charge a fee, and the user, saying, at minting, all you need to do is send us the metadata, and we will do all of the work on the back end and just give you a yes, this is now verified, return command. It's so simple from a implementation standpoint that suddenly we've got a solution that we can go to the OpenSeas and the supply chain solutions out there and say, hey, you just need to call this with your data and pay the monthly fee or whatever it is, and then HUMBL will manage the smart contract side, where they will have the blocks or the portion of subscription that goes towards buying or burning blocks to support the economy. So it just makes it takes something that's almost intangible and puts a very, very easy solution to it. That's what I think is so brilliant about this solution.
And Calvin, thanks for bringing that up, because I think I forgot to mention, maybe Adam I touched on it and I missed it. But part of this solution, there is two different ways to go for blocks. There's either a buy blocks that would power this, where blocks would have to be bought, or just as importantly, there could be blocks that are then sent specifically to the DAO to be burned. Or we could actually just have an automated burn engine created and the blocks can be burned automatically. And I don't need to explain to all of you how supply and demand works when you burn part of your total token supply. So it's a great thing for our partner, which we're really happy about, that they have this great opportunity at a potentially huge monetization strategy utilizing verified by blocks. But because blocks is the underlying token, it's also a phenomenal opportunity. And the way it's been designed, it will do what we all want, which is it creates more folks either buying or burning blocks out there in a very big way. And so that's very exciting. I think we should open it up for questions, but just before we do, I wanted to, this seems like a good time to mention something, and then Yat, I'll ask you, people should start contacting Yat and Kelly about asking questions. I just want to, since we're talking about HUMBL, I wanted to let you know I was speaking to the senior leadership of HUMBL today, and I've been asked a lot, hey, other partners of ours have come into spaces to talk about the partnership. When's HUMBL going to do that? And HUMBL told me today that within the next 2 weeks, they will have a senior executive representative from HUMBL come into spaces to talk about the partnership between HUMBL and Blocks and take your questions. So I just wanted to let you guys know that. Pretty exciting. And now, Yad, if you want to open it up for questions, we're all here.
Yeah, I have a two-part question, if possible.
Hold on one second. Yeah, I think sure. for that's probably the one question I've gotten asked the most in Discord and on Twitter is when can one of our partners from HUMBL come in? So I think that's going to be a breath of fresh air for a lot of people. With that, yeah, we got a couple of people already up for questions. FN2187, go for it.
Thank you, Yat. And Ghost, quick question. So I think you answered my second part, but what makes this implementation unique to blocks? What prevents OpenSea to do the same and much quicker than we can do? And the second one I thought is what benefit, if HUMBL is going to implement this, what benefit block holders will have? But I believe I have the answer to that.
Yeah, no, both really good questions. So what will stop them from doing this as well is we are in the middle of filing a patent right now. So for those of you who are aware of patent law, if you file a patent, you get what's called patent pending status, and it's either for 18 to 24 months. You get full rights and protections under your patent while the final patent is being put out for approval. So what will stop them is they would trip over a patent. So that's why not everyone could. That's why when we got off the call yesterday, I know that today the patent is already being worked on, and I already know that there is a call with the patent attorney that is taking place this week. And the second part of your question, I think you're right, unless you have it and you want more clarity. I think we answered it on the buy or burn for blocks on the back end, blocks being used as the token
Yep.
behind it. Yeah, great.
Yes.
Well, thank you. Those
Thank
are
you.
great questions. Appreciate that.
Yeah, and just a heads up, once you guys ask the question, I'm probably gonna filter through just because we are getting a lot more requests than normal, which is to be anticipated. So if you get bumped down, go ahead and re-request if you have another question. But I'll try to leave you up just so your question can be answered, and if you have a follow-up. Mr. Cavs, you're up next, and then Edward. Mr. Cavs, you there?
Yeah, just go ahead and skip past me.
Okay. Edward, what's up?
Hey guys, thanks so much for having this space. So I own multiple NFTs through DraftKings. Is it possible, probably not from what you guys are saying, but in the future where I could get the ones that I've purchased verified by blocks?
Yeah, I can comment on that. Yeah, that's been a goal. So to retroactively verify NFTs. That's probably going to take place on the Blocks side in the Blocks registry, although that potentially could be part of this API we're talking about. But that there's a process there, right, where we have to create a dashboard, and then is the creator going to be verifying their NFTs? I don't know if a buyer could retroactively verify an NFT that somebody else had created, but potentially you could ping the creator of that NFT somehow and get them to verify the NFT. But yeah, that's definitely something on the roadmap.
I greatly appreciate it. One more. So I'm also getting ready to purchase some NFTs through another token that they're giving away all royalty associated with that NFT. Would that also be something you'd guys be able to do?
Yeah, royalties are interesting. That's probably not something that's part of blocks, right? There's another layer there where you have to figure out who's holding the NFTs currently, and then pull that list down and do a multi-send disbursement to everybody. But royalties are tricky, right? I know the HUMBL NFT platform is embedding those royalties in the smart contract. So at that layer, it's probably pretty easy to do. Whereas other platforms, it's kind of something that lives in the database and is happening on the side. So I don't know if that answered it, but
no, it does. I greatly appreciate it, man. Thanks, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Edward. We got Alfonso, Charlie, and then Gambit, and we'll come back to Mr. Cavs if he's available.
Awesome, guys. Thank you for this information. It's absolutely amazing. My question, I have two questions. First is, a lot of social medias it'll be cool to be able to have things verified in social media. So since you guys mentioned it's API based, would like Facebook or LinkedIn be able to use this API so that we can verify whatever we're trying to prove?
Yeah, that's the ultimate goal, right? If there's an API endpoint to just pass a contract address and a token ID, and then our API spits back true or false, verified, or any other extra data we could provide. But yeah, that's the ultimate goal, is someone could just ping an endpoint and get a response, whether it's verified or not. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing because, whether, as things progress to the metaverse, this could have some great utility there.
That's been talked about as well. Yeah, the metaverse came into it, and partner BizSecure, there was a conversation there where they had several ideas with how this could work well for the metaverse. With let's say you have an avatar, right, that walks into a building and they're wearing clothing. It could be Nike shoes and a Gucci jacket, right? Those items could individually be verified in sort of real time in the game or in the space, and you would see that visually. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Super excited for this. I would imagine it's probably minimal gas fees to do this as well.
Yeah, in this case, like the gas would be covered on the back end via the hot wallets, but that's where the side chains come in. So it should be something that's incredibly fluid and dynamic and easy for the partner just to select which chain they want to put the data on, and then sort of HUMBL takes care of that on the back end, and it's very easy for the partner. They don't have to worry about having extra tokens that might be difficult to acquire otherwise. Yeah.
Awesome. Can't wait for this to be out so we can adopt it into our tech. Thank you so much, guys.
Oh my gosh, great questions. You know, I don't know about the rest of you guys, but all the questions that I've been seeing about verified by blocks are being answered right now, right here. And the direction of this and the enormity of this. I mean, keep the questions coming, but I hope you guys are taking in, because you know how much time I spend in Discord. Everything you guys have been asking is being answered right now. So keep the questions coming.
Yeah. I think Charlie, were you up next?
Yeah, I'll take it. Thanks, guys. So first of all, apologies if this is a rudimentary question. My first block space is humble, long stockholder. And I guess I want to follow up on a comment that Ammon made earlier about future spaces having a humble senior executive invited. I'm trying to understand the delineation and at what point, you know, Calvin being on this block spaces is not a humble executive or a humble
Sure.
representative.
Let me clear that up for you real quickly. So, Calvin is actually a consultant. He's a founder at Blocks and a consultant over at HUMBL, as is the exact same legal relationship that Adam has. So the delineation from a legal point of view is pretty clear. I also, by the way, am a consultant to HUMBL. When I'm on these calls and when I'm doing my work for the DAO, I have to be very careful that anything that I know as a HUMBL consultant, I cannot know while I'm wearing my hat in the Blocks advisory role. It's something I'm constantly aware of. So if there's something I know about that would be proprietary to HUMBL, I simply can't know it when I'm talking in Discord. Same for Calvin, who is a founder of Blocks. Same for Adam, who is a founder of Blocks. It's literally as simple as that. I hope that answered your question. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, it does. And just to follow up to that then, as a humble shareholder, understanding, you know, Blocks is utilized by HUMBL, but at the end of the day, could be utilized by any other company out there, i.e., OpenSeas, and so therefore, there's not really a lot of value. And you correct me, please, if I'm going in the wrong direction.
Sure.
For Blocks as a humble shareholder.
Yeah, so I'm really not here to talk to you as a humble shareholder. I'm sure that I think Danny, who's on this call, has humble spaces all the time. You should ask those questions in there. I appreciate and want to let you know, because you said this is your first spaces. Just by the way, we have over at, I assume you must not be a Blocks part of the BLOCKS DAO, and I encourage you to I encourage you to check it out. Blocks.io. Check it out. Very cool. So we actually have a number of partners like HUMBL. Many of them have already been on spaces to explain the relationship between their companies and or projects and our BLOCKS DAO. We, through our partnerships at Blocks, we have contracts in front of the United States Air Force to use blockchain and blocks specifically for identification verification. We have a partnership with a company called Labs out of Latin America that's going to join us on our spaces that is looking to proliferate blocks throughout Latin America. They have 5 MOUs signed, including with the government of Chile. So I can't really speak to your question as a quote unquote humble stockholder. I can talk to you about the fact that our partners over at HUMBL have been a fantastic partner, and we have this partnership, which, as you've heard tonight, is mutually beneficial. I think you heard tonight how it's a great opportunity for HUMBL using verified by Blocks, Blocks being a key part of that term, and how it's a great opportunity for Blocks. And so that's how partnerships are born and formed. It's for mutual symbiotic benefit. And that's what we have with this partner. So thanks so much for the question. And we'll look forward to seeing you in Discord sometime soon. Next question.
Hey, Charlie,
Appreciate it. Thanks,
real quick.
Coach.
Yeah, real quick. I would definitely recommend popping into Danny's space if you have some questions about Humble. They can delineate a little bit more than some of the speakers that have to kind of toe that line. But thanks for coming in. And like you said, join the Discord. There's a lot of stuff that goes on, and it's definitely separated. You'll see the value of being a blocks holder and what's different from being a Humble shareholder.
Thanks, yeah, will do.
Yep. Gambit, what's up, man?
Hey, so first time asking the question to you guys. You guys seem like you guys are light years ahead of everyone right now. Do you guys feel any pressure from any other competition?
Go ahead, Adam.
I would just say I don't personally, because almost 99% of these projects are focused on DeFi, and it's just a number go up play and meme coins, right? So it's like if we have real utility and we're building upon it, then we will be ahead, right? Once we have real use cases. And that's been something that I've been trying to get going for a very long time, which is like real use cases in the real world for blockchain versus just, whatever the next Dogecoin is, or,
If I could just do a follow-up question. If you want to say anything to the haters or anything like that, like just anything you want. If you had anything to say, what would you say?
Calvin, I know you have something you want to say to haters.
Well, I wasn't going to comment on that, but I wanted to really back up what Adam is saying. Adam and I are both on the exact same page when it comes to utility. A lot of you know that I've been in crypto for a long time. I've been in crypto for coming up on a decade, since it was nearing the end of 2012 that I first got in. And I've seen a ton of projects come and go, and they all grab as much hype as they can. They get as many investors excited. But when push comes to shove, sometimes that technology isn't useful yet, or it's kind of like the most successful project has the best marketing campaign. And what we're doing differently is we're trying to build utility, and we're trying to create solutions that are blockchain based. And so this right here, where we've created a simple API to verify anything on the blockchain, is absolutely ingenious. It solves so many problems using blockchain, and it's so approachable. It's just an amazing utility. And so where we are concentrating on building partnerships and creating relationships and finding ways to implement this in industry, it gives us a huge advantage over the next pump and dump coin that managed to get 3 million bag holders on board. It's just a totally different flavor. And it's why I've kind of hung my hat here. This is exactly what we're trying to do. To just kind of give you a thing on haters, I mostly ignore them because they don't really understand what we're trying to do or their intentions. And it's okay. Nobody has to love everything we do, but I think the work will speak for itself.
I think it was the great Taylor Swift that once said the haters are going to hate.
Could you put out the music?
Drummer dude's in here. I know you can put a bat beat behind it. So
listen, I was going to say that I would rise to the bait and say haters going to hate, but here at BLOCKS DAO, all we do is win, no matter what the money. Anyway.
We got to bring up more people so we can harmonize that. Love it. Awesome. Gambit, good? Awesome.
No, I love what you guys are doing, man. Seriously, you guys are, I can't believe people don't understand what you're doing, I love you guys. That's it.
Well, you read that stuff. You can see through a lot of it.
Yeah.
We appreciate you. Thank you.
I think we got Mr. Cavs. You ready? I know you're first on the list and you're back.
Yes, I'm ready. So I got a two-part question, one relating to the music industry and another with banking. So I was part of the YouTube era where we could just download an MP3 converter so we could convert music off of YouTube into a CD or right straight to our computer. So I was wondering, is Block going to be able to throw or attach a line of code to stop that from happening? Or is there, I mean, there's always, whoever has the brain power, I know there's going to be a way to do something, but.
Well, we've interesting. I mean, we talked about this. We were trying to come up with solutions for that too, where I don't know if you can prevent ripping from CD or anything like that, but a digital music file, right, can be stored on a server and it could live as part of an NFT. And once it's there, right, I mean, you can, if it's a centralized server that the music is living on, let's say it's Apple or another provider like that, right, you can write rules of who can access that data. So, I mean, you could do a wallet check. Like, does it have a blocks balance? If it has a blocks balance, then you can give them access to the file. But then once you have the file, right, you probably could share it. So, right, I mean, that's still something that we're trying to work through and figure out. But yeah, I mean, there are digital watermarks that you can embed in files to kind of show that it's been around. But
kind of like when you buy
the
Microsoft program from Best Buy and you can only download it like 5 times kind of thing.
Yeah, or like a bootleg Photoshop, right? Adobe comes after you eventually, but
right.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so you answered that first part. So the second part is the banking and tracking. So, for example, I hear I'm really not big in the crypto world, so sorry for my ignorance, but a lot of people are accidentally burning their NFTs or accidentally burning their crypto. That's a thing, right?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, that seems like it'd be pretty difficult to do. I mean, you can accidentally kind of burn it if you send to an address that you don't have the key to, the private key.
That's kind of what I was getting at. So if I was to send money accidentally to somebody else's wallet, for example, I was trying to send money to Danny and I accidentally sent it to Yacht Boy, is there a way I can get that back in a way like the FDIC has an insurance?
Nope. Welcome to crypto.
No, and
there's no like line of code that could be attached to that, like where we can kind of just reel it back in.
No, and keep in mind, FDIC insured only covers you up to what is it, $250,000? So
yeah, something like that.
Yeah. All crypto transactions are one way unless they're part of a smart contract.
But I'm sure if you accidentally send, like, say, $1 million in tokens to somebody accidentally, I'm sure they'd be happy to return them. He said with a lot of sarcasm in his voice.
Well, I think Kelvin said it though. He said as long as you do a smart contract. So if we're doing large sums of money, that could be set up as a smart contract. Couldn't effectively correct?
Well, I don't want to give a plug to another project, but there's a little company called Ripple whose token is called XRP that's actually working pretty well within the banking world as far as facilitating banking transfers. So that would fall more under their auspices than ours.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Thank you for the question.
All right, next up we got a Catalyst coin.
Hello. I joined a little bit late, so I apologize if some of this was covered. You see lots of talk on crypto Twitter and all that sort of stuff, and people, comparing you to incumbents, if you can call anything incumbents in this market. And I've heard, vet stuff like that, and so I'm looking for sort of that elevator pitch of like what is fundamentally different about the business model, not necessarily even about the technology, that someone could hear that and understand why it's different.
Well, I mean, I can speak to the business model. How many companies do you know that are run by a couple thousand CEOs? We're the first legally formed decentralized autonomous organization, legally formed in the US and as far as I know, the world, which means that we have this unique cross-section where we are running as a decentralized organization under a United States legislative provisions to regulate our LLC. So what differentiates us is just that. We're the first ever legally formed DAO, and we are running as such, meaning that our community, although we're doing it progressively, our community is every day more and more running this organization, making the decisions. We've already had, I think it's 11 votes. Our last one included tens of millions of tokens voting. We talk in Discord about anything and everything. We come to decisions together as a community and consensus. Literally everything that we do, the way that we do from a business structure point of view, is what differentiates us from anyone else who's ever tried to do anything like this ever before.
Okay. And so I guess my follow-up would be, and what would you say to someone who says, why do your customers care about your governance? Like, your customers care that you are providing value, and that you're, like, if I'm OpenSea, that your solution works, and it's more worthwhile to do it with you than to do it myself.
Sure. We actually don't have customers here at Blocks. We have partners. Our partners have customers. So for example, BizSecure, who is a partner of ours, they have a customer, the United States Air Force. We don't get involved in the messy business of revenue. This DAO has no interest in revenue or creating revenue or generating revenue or paying taxes on revenue, because we have no interest in having revenue. What we have is a token that is an ERC-777 token that can be used to develop any number of utility use cases on any type of business out there. And it's being done, as you heard on this call tonight. There's one of our partners invented something to authenticate things on the blockchain in a way that's never been done before. Another one of our partners is using blocks for identifications inside of the United States government. Another one of our partners is using blocks across Latin America to proliferate blockchain. So we're not in the messy business of being a business with customers. We have partners, and our thesis is we want our blocks out there being used as a utility by as many folks as possible.
Okay. Can I ask a third, not related question real quick?
I mean, you can, but I'll have to charge you for that. No,
I will happily pay you an XRP. I guess I am telling everyone who will listen that they should be buying BLOCKS DAO. The only way to do that right now is on Sushi for most of them, and most of them don't want to do that. So what is that? Does anybody know if there's anything coming down the pipe in terms of liquidity?
When you say liquidity, I assume you mean other exchanges that you can buy this on that aren't decentralized exchanges?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know how much time you spend in Discord, and it's cool. Some people don't have a lot of time, which is totally understandable. But we actually are in the middle of launching on a centralized exchange called FMFW that used to be called Bitcoin.com. That I'm not going to say the launch is imminent, because to be honest with you, I take so much crap for using the word imminent in Discord that I'm going to try and strike it from my vocabulary. But yes, we are in the middle. We actually have just successfully set up our market maker, and we'll be announcing to the DAO pretty soon an actual date, which is very soon, that we'll be launching finally, because we had this bit of a market maker road bump that we just got past.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, we got 5 speakers that are on the queue right now. I know some of you guys are raising your hand. I've been paying attention. Nathaniel, you're up, and then we'll go back to FN 21 and then 50, and then we'll work through. Nathaniel, go ahead.
Okay, thanks. Mine's a pretty quick question. Is there any governments that are currently interested in blocks?
Chile.
Chile, okay.
Yeah, we have.
All right.
Yeah, there's an active MOU with the Chilean government through our partner labs. Well, they haven't been voted to be our partner yet. That vote's coming up soon. So for those of you who are part of the DAO, make sure you're in Discord, connect your wallets. Labs is about to be voted on. As long as it's passed, there is an MOU with the Chilean government.
Okay. Are there any other interests like in Singapore or Dubai or anything like that? Or
No, but if you know anybody, let us know. We're happy to talk to, again, we try and do this through partners, but if there's like I said, our partners over at BizSecure talk to a lot of government bodies, not just in the United States, but abroad. And so a lot of stuff gets filtered through them. I know that Joe, who runs the community biz dev group, can join us tonight, but there's other people from biz dev. And by the way, guys, if you're asking questions tonight, we have representatives from community marketing, community operations, which just passed, woohoo, and community biz dev. So if you guys have any questions for any of those subcommittees, there are representatives on the phone to talk about that tonight. But yeah, we're always happy to talk to, governments. And if we feel like as a DAO, it's beyond our reach, we'll assign that to one of our partners to represent us there through our business development group.
are there any current applications that are in progress with tokenization of stocks that you guys are involved with?
Also out of Latin America, there is a MOU with an exchange down in Latin America.
Okay. Thank you for taking my questions.
Thank you for asking.
FN2187, were you back up for another question?
Sure. So kind of interesting question, but we have Mr. Sharp on the call here, and we know he recently, George Sharp, he recently invested in Blocks. I would really like to hear his opinion. What made his mind made the decision to invest in Blocks?
Well, he's here as a listener, so unless he raises his hand and wants to answer your question, he's not one of the people. I appreciate your question, but he's here as a member of the DAO, and we appreciate him being a member of the DAO, as we appreciate all of you being a member of the DAO. But the people on the phone tonight who are from the BLOCKS DAO are myself and Calvin and Adam and our community leaders. So unless Mr. Sharp wants to, which I don't know why he would, address an audience off the cuff, I just don't think this is, with all due respect, an appropriate place to ask one of our members to comment on his personal reasons or his corporate reasons for acquiring blocks for himself personally or his company. It would be like going out to Danny and saying, "Hey, Danny, why'd you buy blocks?" Maybe she'd answer, maybe she wouldn't, but that's kind of her business.
Fair enough.
Okay.
I think we got 50 for Fisker.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Dan here. Hey, so I kind of had a question, and it may seem out of left field, but it stemmed from, I think, a Spaces y'all did a couple weeks ago, and then I was just reminded of it at some point when Adam was talking. I was wondering if you could expound upon the claim that Blocks is one of the few tokens that can transfer both data and value at the same time, and after that, possibly explain what the value is that it's attached to or transferring, and does it have anything to do with attaching blocks, verifying a cryptocurrency or a stable coin or anything like that? Or am I completely off base in my understanding of what it is, the data and the value that's being transferred or verified? Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure. I mean, just as a quick overview of what I meant by that was basically that the blocks token itself has a market value to it, right? And we can embed data in a transaction. So I'm trying to think of a good example, but if you were like a truck driver and you don't get paid until you deliver a load or something like that, you might be able to transfer, payment in blocks, but have a purchase order or something in the data, right? Or a link to a purchase order or something. So when that's delivered, the blocks would act as like collateral until the trucker was paid out by the company or something. I don't know, but that's the idea, is like you can deliver a payment in advance with some data that could be a purchase order or some other information that lives on the blockchain at the same time, right? So I have to think through the use cases, but that was sort of the idea there. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that explanation really helps. Can blocks, being that it has a market value, can it be used as a payment, even though it's a token by, say, actual cryptocurrency?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's one thing the BizDev team, they reached out to a couple payment platforms like right, you could accept it as a payment through Shopify, WooCommerce, all that, because there is a market value there for goods and services. So that definitely.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot. That just helps even ramify some of my very, very juvenile understandings here. So thanks again, guys, and thanks, Yacht. You're all, as always, doing a great job.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it. We got Ennis and then Humble Me, and I think we are coming up short on speakers. So if you guys want to speak, feel free to reach out. Bottom left, hit that microphone. I'll bring you up. Ennis, go for it.
Yeah, so when you guys said that you were regulated, what do you mean by that?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
So I think at some point, I'm not sure, somebody said they are regulated, as in you guys are sorted by the American government.
No,
No.
we're actually we are a Wyoming limited liability corporation under the Decentralized Autonomous Organization legislature. So we are beholden to this legislative structure of the great state of Wyoming as being the first legally formed decentralized autonomous organization. So unlike other DAOs that are just like, we're a DAO, but we follow the regulatory roadmap of the legislature of Wyoming, where our limited liability corporation has been founded and is filed.
Oh, okay. So not like FCA or anything like that.
Nope.
Okay.
I mean, just to clarify, as we are decentralized and a utility token, we are not a security, so we are not under the auspices of the United States Government Security and Exchange Commission.
So you don't have to do anything like know your customer or anything like that.
Well, there's nothing that we would have KYC for. We have a token that's out there being used in utility. Depending on how that token is used, there might be certain utilities that are used for KYC. But as a decentralized autonomous organization with a token that's being used in utility for both governance and business utility, there's nothing for our project to have a need for know your customer.
That's interesting. No, like well, that's interesting to know. What do you think makes the difference?
A difference for what?
So I know that the FCA are like trying to push for other people have said before that their coins are not securities. I know the FCA are trying to push that. Have you seen the like legal stuff before?
I have. We actually have I think it's a 27-page opinion letter written by a New York City law firm that actually goes through everything, including the Howey test and how we actually pass the Howey test as not being considered a security. A lot of tokens have leaned into over the last 4 to 5 years, and I have a lot of experience with this, having run a crypto exchange that onboarded multiple tokens. And one of the things you don't want to do as an exchange is bring on a token that could be considered a security, because then your exchange would be in breach of Securities and Exchange Commission law. So a lot of tokens over the years have leaned into, hey, we're a utility. Hey, we're a utility. And the SEC has very rightfully said, in fact, I agree quite a bit with the SEC, well, you're going to be a utility, but you weren't when you launched. So what a lot of tokens did was they said, look, this is how our token is going to be used. And the SEC has come back and said, okay, but for all of the time you've been listed, your token, you've been working towards utility, but your token's been doing nothing but being traded for profit and loss. Now, one of the interesting things about Blocks is the day that we launched, our token was already being used by one of our partners on the day of launch as a utility in production. But let's go beyond that, because
Sorry,
the SEC's...
sorry, before you go on, I'm a little bit of an idiot. So could you explain what the difference is there? Like how was it that the blocks
So
was
Blocks was being
different?
so Blocks was being used in 2 instances as a utility out of the gate. I don't like to talk about it much because I have PTSD about it, but there was a little bit of a problem on launch, and the DAO, I think on the 3rd or 4th day, had to actually have a vote about how to fix a problem that happened on the day of launch. And so our token was being used in utility the day of launch as a governance token, which is a utility. Our token was also being used in beta by one of our partners to verify NFTs in the beta provision of what is now being used as verified by Blocks. Furthermore, the greatest argument against being a security is decentralization has been pointed out by every lawyer in the country, as well as Commissioner Pierce in her Safe Harbor 2.0 Progressive Decentralization Plan. And we have actually achieved further decentralization in just over 3 months than most projects achieve in over a year. And we are running on a path to be able to be completely and fully decentralized in under a year. And even the SEC admits that if you are running a truly decentralized organization, you cannot be a security. So we have multiple arguments about why we're different and why we're not a security, including a 27-page opinion from a New York City law firm, governance token being used out of the gate from the beginning, and our utility token being used in a utility right now in production on a publicly traded company's NFT platform. So feeling pretty good about that, to be honest with you.
And I would say at this point, this is a good time to kind of let you guys know, if you are not part of the Discord, there's a link up top. You can join the general and kind of feel it out, as well as find out how to become a member of the Discord. Also, if you have not, make sure you add Blocks. Just click on the Blocks icon in the upper left-hand corner and follow. And there's some good information on blocks.io, including the Get book, which has the opinion letter, as well as the operating agreement that has kind of everything laid out. So I think that'd be a good place to start as far as furthering education if it wasn't addressed today. Humble Me, what's up?
Evening, everyone, gentlemen, ladies.
Good evening.
Bit of a technical question. As we're, seeing more and more, solutions for scaling be proposed and worked on, particularly for layer 2s. One trend I'm starting to see and read more about are ZK rollups and snarks and things like that. I was just wondering, security being one of our biggest pillars. I was just wondering if that's something that is in line with what we're trying to do, if it's, some tech that could be of use to us if we're going to go down that route, or if we're trying to do something completely different.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. We've definitely looked into that. I think Arbitrum is one of the platforms using ZK rollups or snarks maybe. But, right, I think blocks can be deployed across many different EVM compatible solutions. And I think that's the route we want to keep going. is that if somebody does build a great platform using ZK rollups or ZK snarks, we can deploy our smart contract there and then allow partners to put data on the chain there using that technology. So I think right now it's beneficial to us to kind of stay over the top and blockchain agnostic. That way we're not limited to scaling limitations of one particular chain over another. So I hope that answers it.
Yeah, you did. Mm-hmm. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
AI.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Hope you all well. I've been listening, and my initial question, I think it was going to be off topic, but I am curious, about the Chilean contact with the government via labs. I mean, that's interesting. Do they have? That's actually very interesting. Then another one is it learning about blocks? I mean, it seems like it's basically just a secure way to store information and transport information. Could blocks be used for like email? Let's say how people email now. Can blocks be used for email? Like take over? Would there be a benefit for? Could blocks be used for email? I mean, that's a question there. And then one more thing. I was trying to transfer my blocks from my Metamask to HUMBL, and I wasn't able to. I mean, I don't know if anybody can maybe speak to that. And that's all. Just my 3 points would be: I'm interested in the Chilean government thing that you guys got going on.
So your first question about the Chilean government, there is a proposal that needs to be dropped in the proposal channel of our Discord, and that proposal will be then open for review by the community. Once the community has the chance to disseminate that information amongst themselves and ask questions, the proposal will be put up for a vote. At that point, Labs would officially become a partner, and more information would be coming about the Chilean government. As far as your two other questions, and the one about email and the MetaMask question, I'll leave that to Adam and Calvin.
Yeah, I think I can take a stab at email. It's an interesting idea, and yeah, technically you could kind of treat it like email, right? You could put raw text data on chain. It can get expensive depending on how big the message is or how much data you're putting on, and it's permanent, right? So do you want everybody to see those messages? Would you encrypt it? There's a lot of questions there, but it might be interesting to build an app where maybe we're holding government accountable, right? So maybe we want their emails trapped permanently so we can read them. That might be a nice tool. And then you could even build like a texting app where, let's say I don't want to get texted by anybody unless they pay me a certain amount of blocks. So it's like, if you pay me $5 worth of blocks, then I'll accept your messages, kind of thing. Celebrities might want to get messaged that way, or other people who I think Earn was a platform that did this, where you could email people, if you're willing to pay a certain amount of money, but you could use blocks for that, right? And the message would be embedded in the payment itself, and you could decode those from the blockchain. So there's lots of ideas there. Yeah. There was another question. I can't remember what it was, though.
Yeah, that was about can you transfer MetaMask from your MetaMask wallet? Can you transfer blocks tokens over to the HUMBL super app? I don't know, Adam, if you know.
Yeah, that's in progress, right? That's kind of a phase 2 thing. It doesn't exist yet, but it's definitely coming. So.
Okay, thank you. Because I won't continue trying that one. I figure, you know what? Let me just leave them there. They're safe and sound. They're not going anywhere. So I appreciate that. Thank you, guys. You've saved me a little bit of time on that. And then on the email thing, I got it. Blocks is open to everyone. Everybody can see it. So Blocks isn't for a technology to replace simple things like email. But that aspect that you said about, are people charging to get an email? I mean, that's interesting. Thank you, guys, for your time.
Thank you.
I think Nathan was next.
Yeah, so my other question I just thought of is with, like, for example, Coinbase, now I guess they would be more or less a competitor of Humble, but I know that Blocks is a decentralized network and can, I guess any company could work with them. But with everything that's happening with their NFTs being, a lot of them not being real or whatever, fraudulent, is there an application there, Blocks for Coinbase, um, or is there an answer to that?
Well, the answer is that you're absolutely right. Blocks is completely. We're looking for partners from every different direction. If there's an application for Coinbase, and if we can make those connections, we'd absolutely love to entertain an idea of some partnership with them or anyone else. We're in the business of creating utility and providing blockchain solutions for anyone. So we'll take it from anybody.
Mm-hmm. Has a company like them or another similar company reached out to you guys, or are they aware of you folks as of yet? Or
I'm not sure. I know that if there are connections that anybody in our community has, they should get in touch with the Discord channel and get in touch with Joe and those guys over business development.
Yeah, business development group, 100%. I mean, I'm gonna, as you guys know, and this is how amazing our community is. It may have been Patriot, and if it wasn't, forgive me, but somebody from our community actually reached out to Mark Cuban and said, "Hey, by the way, I'm a member of this DAO called Blocks, and I think it's something cool, and you should really check out." And he actually got back to them and said, "Well, let me know if there's anything, in utility going on." And she said, "Do you mind if I pass your email address over to one of the founders?" She passed it over to Calvin Waite. And Calvin has been emailing with Mr. Cuban. And he basically, and Calvin, correct me if I'm wrong, he basically said, "Interesting project. Let me know when you guys have something, in utility that could be super interesting. And if it's in utility, let me know. And then I'll be really interested in looking at a project." And what we've discussed tonight about verified by blocks and the API call bundling and productization of verified by blocks, I think Calvin feels that that's something that he might bring to Mr. Cuban per his request, as showing blocks being used in a actual utility. Calvin, do you want to expound on that a little bit?
Yeah, in fact, he said, if you have something that I can play with and try on my own, I would be interested. So he actually said in his email that he would be interested if we could create a solution like that. And so having this verified by blocks API solution, I already have developers that are working on it, and we're going to try to get the technology working as soon as possible, because my emails with him were around only 2 weeks ago, and he left it very open-ended. He said, "You can reach out to me if with any developments." And I just said, "Hey, when I have something tangible for you, I will let you know." And he said, "Great." So if we can get this developed, and Adam's been working with the developers that I sent this to, and they are working on trying to put it together. Once it's in practice, and we can not only say, "Hey, there is utility, this is how it works, here's an example of this, and here's a short video showing somebody executing this contract through the API," I think it'd be very interesting, because this is kind of a hot topic right now, with NFTs being as in the news as they are, and with the subsequent news of all of the fraud and things like that. This is a solution that I haven't heard of people touting this a solution of any kind out there in the media. So if we can get this done in a week or somewhere in there, he'd be a pretty awesome guy to approach and say, hey, this is a working, this is an actual working utility for this and solution. And it'd be very interesting to see where that goes from there. I always, I don't like to hold my breath on anything. But it's definitely something that we're going to approach him with and see where it goes.
So I guess the name Mark Cuban has brought a lot of speakers to the mic. We got about 8 people now that are requesting to talk. So if you guys ask the question, I'm going to bump you guys down just so we can keep it moving. I don't know, Ghost, Calvin, do you guys have any more follow up on that, or do you want to keep questions coming?
I mean, yeah, no, keep the question coming. The only thing I want to encourage is there's been a lot in Discord about Adam helping to develop videos that can show how verified by blocks works. And I think tonight you're getting those answers. And, you guys, I just want you to know, Adam hops into, as Werewolf, hops into Discord as much as he can. He's kind of busy, so he can't spend as much time as a sluffer like me spends with you guys in Discord. But if there's questions tonight that you want to ask specifically about helping create videos, now's the time to do it. But yeah, let's roll along with some more questions.
All right. I know some people are using the hand, some people aren't. We're going to go Cortez, Shane, Humble Me, Tweeners, Yusuf, FN, and then Boom Shakalaka if you got something. So Cortez, what's up, man?
Hey, good evening, Kelly. Yeah, thank you for hosting. Blocks team, Blocks Nation, good evening. Hey, I'm especially happy that Adam jumped into this AMA. I read your Q&A earlier today, and man, I mean, I'm already sold, on what the DAO's doing, and just the future, of the DAO in conjunction or correlation with the metaverse and the FNFTs and just the NFT market in general. And I'm just so excited, man. So kudos to you, Adam, for representing what you believe in and what you're speaking for. Thank you for that. And again, if you guys haven't read that Q&A, it's not that long. Go check it out. I believe Brian Foote, he retweeted it. So it's just awesome. So my question, Ghost, is in regards to from an investor vantage point. So now that Blocks has launched on Humble Pay, and I know there's been some dialogue in Discord in regards to this, and I'm not going to get into anything too intricate about that, but I understand that in MetaMask, when we own Blocks, we are part of the DAO. We are part of the whole function here. When someone is purchasing in Humble Pay, how are they classified? And I'll say we because I've also purchased on Humble Pay.
Terrific question. In fact, thank you for asking that. Really,
You're
terrific. Everybody who owns one single block is a part of the DAO. We are at the constraints of technology, however, and there's a lot of different ways to set something up. And the way that those of us, the founders and the advisors, we tried to figure out the best way to have participation in the DAO. And at the time, and still now, in my opinion, based on technological constraints, the best way to do it was to gather in Discord and have bots that have the ability to be able to read a wallet to confirm that somebody is a member of the DAO for the purposes specifically of being classified into a tier based on how many tokens you hold, those tiers being gold, silver, and members only, and also have the ability to vote. Now, from a tier recognition point of view, I believe that might only be in MetaMask, maybe Trust Wallet, not sure. I know that there's been some conversation about that. And for voting, we use a company called Snapshot, snapshot.org. Snapshot has the ability to read multiple wallets, and I posted all of those in Discord I know that Coinbase wallet has been used successfully with blocks being held in Coinbase to be able to vote. I know that there's other wallets. I know that you can use Wallet Connect to connect other wallets. So you are a part of the DAO, regardless of whether or not you want to hold your tokens in a wallet that can be recognized by one of the bots that is being utilized to recognize you for tier or votes. But if you do want to be recognized for what tier you would fall into or the ability to vote, unfortunately, we are still within the confines of technological capabilities of bots that are able to read those. So I just want to clarify that everybody who holds a block is a part of the DAO. To be actively part of it in Discord and part of our voting and our tier structure, you do need to be in a wallet that one of the bots that we're using can recognize. We will constantly be looking out into the technological landscape for other ways of being able to have other wallets and your holdings and blocks being able to be acknowledged for those different parts of active participation in the DAO. But for right now, we do fall under the constraints of what technology allows us to do.
Okay, Mr. Ghost, thank you so much for your response there, and I completely understand. Just a quick follow-up to that. I know that a few weeks back you had mentioned about an upcoming campaign in regards to blocks, in that that if we staked, I mean, and if you could just touch on the staking aspect of it, if we staked our blocks, we would be offered a 20% APY or something like that. I think a lot of us are really excited about that, and that's part of
Dude,
yeah. So
you are crushing it tonight, because you are asking every question I want you to ask. So there has been some confusion, and I am going to give Mr. Waite the opportunity to clarify some things, because Calvin's been very busy and he hasn't been able to spend as much time in Discord as he'd like to. But I have been in Discord and I've been talking, and a lot of people are aggravated with me because there has been a confusion between, if you buy blocks in the HUMBL wallet, can you earn interest? And I've been very clear, no, you cannot. And so I don't want to go into the weeds on why certain tokens are being offered out to earn interest on, but those tokens generally have to have a global proliferation where enough people globally want those tokens that there would be people who are willing to give you an APY in lending those tokens. Blocks through the HUMBL wallet currently, just based on where Blocks is, having nothing to do with our partner at HUMBL or the wallet that they are using or wallets that they are using, but just where we are in Blocks, there currently isn't the proliferation needed that anyone's going to give you an earned interest on Blocks out of a wallet. That's generally slated for Bitcoin or Ethereum or some of the other top 10, 15, 20 tokens. As far as the staking campaign, thank you for asking that as well. A lot of people have said, Calvin said that there would be interest earned on blocks in the HUMBL wallet at 20% APY. And I've said, hey, listen, he was talking about staking, and we talked about staking as something that HUMBL identified as something they would be interested in looking at doing in the future. They didn't commit to doing it, and I'm not saying they're not doing it or that they are doing it. I'm saying it's something that they've been looking at, but they are simply a partner of ours, and they have a lot going on over at HUMBL. They're a publicly traded company with products available in their pay division, products available in their NFT and ticketing division, and products available in their financial division. So when they will get around to a HUMBL staking campaign, which is what Calvin was talking about, APYs, and he talked about that the idea had been floated about of a 20% APY, but didn't commit to anything. I think that's where the confusion comes in. And I've been getting a lot of crap from my very dear friend in Discord, my friend Big Tex, because I said, we were talking from a conjecture point of view. So Calvin, do you want to clear any of this up?
Yeah, in fact, we were it was about a month or almost 2 months ago. No, it was just a month ago, where we were really interested in trying to create a smart contract that Humble could load with blocks, and it would slowly drip coins out to anyone who had staked. And we had set parameters, and we were in the middle of building it, and Adam came to us with a kind of a concern that there was a weakness in the smart contract that this was built on, and it kind of put the brakes on that specific implementation. So we kind of had to hold off, because the idea was that we were going to try to do it in a decentralized way, where the funds would be locked up in a smart contract, and then if Humble wanted to, load a wallet with blocks that they had independently purchased, they could drip that out, and it would just kind of be kind of an advertising method. Well, with that weakness, it kind of stopped us from going that route, and we haven't completely scrapped doing it altogether, but because of that change in dynamics, we waited to get everything launched on the app, and then it's possible that we can pick that up again in the future. I liked the parameters, and I liked the idea behind it and everything, but we've been building a couple of other things. I don't know. Do you want to speak a little more to that, Adam, as far as like the weakness?
Well, I would just say that we do have the staking contract written, and we've deployed it on testnet, and we've tested around some parameters, and one of our devs was building out the UI for it. So I think it's really close there. We probably just need to get it audited. And then it's a matter of, right, we're not paying interest really, it's staking. So there's a reward pool, and then it's just who's paying for the reward pool, like who's funding that, how many blocks do we need to fulfill 20% APY, and then what's the cap on how many tokens we want to allow to be staked. So there's just some little details there that need taken care of. But I think as far as the smart contract goes, we're 90% there. It's just a matter of, I think, getting an audit and seeing with the business team how they want to proceed.
Did you hear back from that group, Adam?
Yeah, not yet. We haven't officially requested an audit yet.
Okay, so that's kind of where we are. It's not something that we don't want to do, but it's just not something we can do quite yet.
I'm super glad that came up, and now all of you who have been needling me in Discord, yeah.
Yeah, well, gentlemen, thank you so much for the responses. And again, Kelly, thank you so much for hosting. Y'all have a good evening.
Thanks, Cortez. All right, we'll keep going. We'll go Shane and then Humble me, and we'll come back around.
Right on. Thanks, Yacht. Thanks, everybody, for being here tonight. Real generous with your time. So thinking about the Verify by Blocks and NFT discussion we had earlier in the evening, and then circling back to use cases that Mark Cuban might be interested in. I'm well aware that our partner at Humble has some ticketing features and ticketing offerings through their website, and I'm just wondering what y'all see as the potential for Verify by Blocks as it pertains to ticketing, if any. Thanks.
I mean, Adam can, postulate on that. What I would say is, I mean, that partner has been so inventive and incisive in figuring out how to use blocks in blocks use cases. I mean, I've been on our partner's website, what they're doing with ticketing, and I've read a lot of stuff that the CEO has put out about the convergence of NFTs and ticketing. But at the very least, if you think about what Mr. Foote has said about the convergence of NFTs and ticketing and what we're talking about tonight, and the mess of a world that is fraudulent ticketing, I mean, just what we led with in this evening's call, I can see being a huge part of how they utilize as an example, verified by blocks, with verifying original and valid tickets. I don't know, Adam, if you want to add on to that.
Yeah, I would just say that, Javier is, he's a ticketing guru guy, HUMBL's CTO, and he's definitely, had calls with me to kind of explore, different things that are possible, and it's definitely on the radar. And I think trying to figure out a use case for blocks there, and we've talked about situations where, maybe you buy a ticket to a show, and then there's an opportunity to turn that into an NFT after the fact. And, and that NFT may give you certain rights or privileges after that. And, blocks is a part of that as far as like authenticating that ticket. So, right, there's a whole bunch of synergies kind of just on the back burner while we think through different ideas.
Okay. Yeah, I appreciate the response there. And maybe just to push it a little further, I know that like the ticketing evolution API that we use, is kind of a secondary market for a lot of different ticketing providers, and the HUMBL doesn't necessarily own the inventory. But do you see Ticket Evolution perhaps as a potential customer for such an API using Verified by Blocks?
I don't know. I mean, that gets a little dicey, right? Because they're working with a partner of ours. I think I would, suggest to the DAO that we allow our partner to drive that relationship.
Yep, all good. I understand. Thank you very much.
Thanks. You.
We got Humble Me, and then Tweeners, and then FN 2187.
Yeah. Since we were talking about Mr. Cuban, I know he's rather bullish or a believer on a pretty popular sidechain whose name has come up a couple times in our Discord. I just wanted to know if as of today, are we ready to use these sidechains and utilize them for some of the things we're doing? And if we are we just waiting on our partners to have a use for it, so we can cater that use to them?
I think Adam can talk a lot about what he has already done with sidechains and Block.
Yeah, we've deployed. We call them the sidechain tokens are essentially blocks data tokens, right? And you have to get them by swapping ETH blocks through the DAO right now. So a partner would buy blocks on the open market and then say, I want to exchange, 10,000 blocks for 10,000 sidechain tokens on whichever sidechain they want. So let's say it's XDAI, where we've deployed to, which is now Gnosis chain, and also Polygon. So those are two options right now. Other chains we're looking at very soon, I think, are Phantom and probably Binance Smart Chain. So that would give us 4 options where a partner could potentially, swap out their blocks tokens to get blocks data tokens on those side chains. So if that helps. And then, the plan there is just to deploy across as many chains as possible. So to meet a partner wherever they are or wherever they want to be.
Awesome. Thank you, Adam. And a great space as always. It's a pleasure and a privilege to hear you guys speak. I'm gonna step down and make some room for other people who want to come up.
Thank you. Tweeners, you're up.
Hey, thanks a lot. Great spaces. Yeah, thanks again for always hosting these things. I have a couple of questions. The first is in regards to the tiers. Initially, quite a few people bought in to the tiers and got into silver and or gold, but more likely to silver because of the operating agreement talked about airdrops and they were going to be eligible. And at this point, that hasn't happened, other than the stuff that happened in December, but that was open to anybody else. What are the plans right now to incentivize the silver tier to make it, I guess, more attractive for people either to remain there or to buy up members only level?
Do you mind if I correct you on a statement you just made?
Please do.
I'm from
because
Egypt.
I
How about
could you whoever somebody needs to mute. I had seen your question earlier, and it's a great question. I just want to kind of redirect you. Being one of the authors of the operating agreement, I'm pretty familiar with it, and I think you might be confused as to how you're reading the Git book. So our operating agreement does not cover airdrops at all. What you are referring to is the tokenomics model and the distribution of tokens under token allocation in the Git book, which is actually not part of our operating agreement. So from an operating agreement point of view, we actually don't cover airdrops at all. From a token allocation point of view, we do cover airdrops. And I understand your question, and I appreciate it. You know, it's funny, spending as much time as I do around contract and contract law, you know, the dissemination of how you read words is tricky. And I went back after seeing what your question was, and I wanted to reread how we had stated it in the token allocation.
I think somebody might have hit mute all. Go ahead and unmute.
Okay, sorry. Okay, yeah. So I don't know where I got lost, but it's a good question. But as it's not part of the actual operating agreement, it's part of the token allocation agreement. I think you may have misinterpreted, and I totally understand, because I reread it today and I was like, you know what? I totally get how that could be misinterpreted. But when distribution is used in the token allocation, distribution is meant as distribution monthly, as in what the emission schedule to enable those tokens to be available for airdrops. There is actually no obligation in writing for when, if, how, when to do those airdrops and in what amounts to do those airdrops. As far as your point about the silver channel, it's a great question, and I want to answer it. So in the description of silver, what it says is silver may be able to participate in airdrops. And you also pointed out really intelligently that it didn't cover members only. And that's because the members only channel and members only tier didn't exist when we launched the DAO. But the community created this third tier, which is members only. And so I'm sorry for giving a long answer, but I think your question is so good and so well thought out that I wanted to give a detailed explanation. What it actually says from a legal interpretation point of view is that those tokens will be made available for airdrops, and that those airdrops can be done. They can be done monthly, they can be done annually, or the DAO community can decide, hey, you know what? The original founders and advisors, they put too many tokens out there for airdrops. We don't want to utilize all of those. And maybe those end up being burned, right? Like, that's something for the community to decide. But I understand your question, and I just want to point you towards looking back at the descriptive term distribution, because distribution was talked about as unlocking the airdrop tokens monthly under an emission schedule, not actually distributing them in airdrop. And if you reread it, I think you'll understand what I'm talking about. But it's a great question, and I really appreciate you asking it.
Okay, the second question I have is, upon full decentralization, early buyers or pre-buyers and all the founders' tokens unlock, and yet our liquidity pool is such that what's going to be done to prevent mass sales, and certainly you can't control. Once people buy stuff, they own it and they can do what they want. But from essentially depleting the liquidity pool, and I don't want to say rug pulling, because that's certainly, I don't think, the intent of this DAO by any means, way, shape, or form, but preventing all the liquidity from disappearing and the value of the tokens that everybody has going down to next to nothing.
Yeah, so I mean, look, the liquidity pools that you're talking about are liquidity pools that are set up inside of the decentralized exchanges that we've set up. And as we have voluntarily locked our liquidity pools, we actually can't rug pull. We have voluntarily locked our ability to access the liquidity currently on SushiSwap at 3.64859 3.05 million, and on Uniswap V2, it's a much lower liquidity pool. I think it's at 1.275674.57. So we actually can't pull that liquidity. And it's a good, and again, you've asked a good question. And I'm glad you asked it, because we have voluntarily locked up our liquidity. So we actually have no access to it. As far as liquidity on other exchanges, when we are on centralized exchanges, we provide initial liquidity, and then the order books provide the liquidity based on how a traditional order book would work within a centralized exchange. So we have an obscene amount of liquidity based on our volume, actually, on all decentralized exchanges, and we will be providing essential and necessary liquidity for at least initial liquidity on centralized exchanges, and then the trading volume on those exchanges through the order book dictate the liquidity in those exchanges as are backed up by our market makers. Does that answer your question?
Somewhat. So if I guess my concern is that upon full decentralization, which could have been up to 3 years, but it sounds like we're on a path to it happening sooner than that. Totally. We're going to have billions of tokens now in wallets that can be sold. And
whoa! Billions? No.
Well, isn't there? Okay, hundreds of. Well, isn't there 500 million pre-sale, and then I don't know how many each of the four founders got, but
sure.
I mean, together, that's how much is that total?
Oh gosh, that's a good question, and I promise you, I will answer your question in Discord. But I hate not answering with 100% certainty. So I will reach out to you and I will give you those numbers, because we are all about transparency. But what I would say is there are certain ongoing discussions about founders and when they will have the ability to sell. But right now, all the founders have basically agreed, at least conceptually, that they're not selling any tokens at all. Advisors, us advisors, I mean, we're opportunists. No, I'm kidding. I think all of you have been tracking my wallet, so you know what I have and haven't sold. But as far as what the ability is for pre-sale locked up tokens, when those unlock, those are those people's tokens. They can sell them just like you can sell your tokens. There's two things we're hoping for. One is the belief in the DAO and those people being long, but more importantly is that by the time those tokens are available to the pre-sale folks that will have volume based on being on multiple centralized exchanges, that if all of them sold on the same day, would it affect the market? Sure. Would it crash the market? Absolutely not. I'm guessing, based on what we've planned for, maybe it could knock the market, and don't quote me on this, I'm guessing, maybe it could knock the market back 10, 15% for maybe a week. But we've kind of prepared for what happens when all of those tokens unlock. As far as founders and advisors, we've had the ability to sell our tokens from day one. I would ask that you judge us from how much we've sold to date, because I would say that between founders and advisors, we still hold well over 99% of the tokens that we have allocated, and we've been able to sell them ever since we launched.
Okay, I was under the impression that those were locked until full decentralization. So maybe that was my misunderstanding in
No,
regard to
no,
those
that
specific
no,
tokens.
no.
But
So
I also
no,
think
not
that. Go
necessarily.
ahead.
No, not necessarily. And I want to clarify because you have a great point. So, for example, there are founders who have agreed that they will not sell a single token until decentralization. So I kind of bundled us all incorrectly together. There are founders who have said that they will not sell a single token until decentralization. In fact, that's most of the founders. From an advisor point of view, because I can speak on behalf of advisors, because the advisors are myself and Arbitrage, and he and I are in literally daily, communication. We've been able to sell our tokens, any amount of them, since day one. We're not selling them for two reasons. A, we believe in the project long term. I have no interest in selling my tokens at 0.2618 cents. I'm not going to say where I think this project's going, but I'll be damned if I'm selling any substantial portion of my tokens below an amount that is incredibly well north of that. But yes, you are correct. There have been statements by founders that they will not sell a single token until decentralization is met.
Okay, fair enough. I appreciate you taking my questions.
No,
Again, yeah.
Those are really good questions. Thank you for asking them.
Well, I kind of wanted to add a little bit to the answer on that as well. As far as liquidity goes, right now, the liquidity is stuck in two places. And as far as rug pulls and that vulnerability, that is, a possibility for tokens that are not locked. But once we get onto multiple centralized exchanges, even if the liquidity disappeared on one exchange, it would not. There would still be liquidity in other places. Just so you know where I'm at on all of this, I was interested in helping sort of decentralize the liquidity. And when I originally got my coins, I waited until after the initial rush upward, and then I used a large portion of my coins that I actually did purchase as liquidity. So there are liquidity pools that are owned by the DAO, and there's also a liquidity pool that is owned by me, and that can be a possibility for anybody who understands the decentralized finance. Anybody can create their own liquidity pool, and wherever liquidity is added, it actually strengthens the price. So when I waited for the price to hit about 5 cents, and then I initiated my liquidity pools, it actually strengthened the pool at that price. So if you're wondering if the founders are interested in exiting, it's not even in my mind as far as something that I'm interested in doing right now. I'm interested in deepening the liquidity, creating more decentralization for stability in the project itself. And then as we can get onto other projects or other exchanges and fully decentralize, it'll really help. In addition, as far as selling pressure, what we're trying to do to mitigate against selling pressure, because there are a fair amount of pre-sale tokens as well that were purchased. We're trying to do everything we can to create demand for blocks. So this verified by blocks is an amazing solution that could provide quite a lot of demand just because there's such a great need out there. And if we can bring that to our customers, suddenly there's going to be a lot of groups that are going to need a lot of blocks to do what they're trying to do. So there's just a lot of, we're trying to build support for that. And all of the founders, we're looking at each other, not very interested in liquidation, but building. So
Okay,
I hope that helps you too.
It does. And I think that if there's success in actually having market-driven demand, then a lot of my concerns probably would be alleviated. And I guess that's just what we'll have to wait and see what happens over the next 4 to 6 months.
Totally. that's a very valid concern, because when a project is young, that's where the opportunity is, right? When's the best time to buy Apple? It's when they're young and trying to figure it out. When's the best time to invest in anything? It's always at the beginning. I just feel like it's at the beginning that there's a lot of unknowns and a lot of building to be done. So if you can kind of look at what we're trying to do and what we're trying to accomplish and the engagement, it helps. But yeah, absolutely. It's not, nothing is completely safe until we've got tons of partners, we've built up tons of demand, until we've completely reached decentralization. So it's a process for everybody, and it's fun to be a part of it and watch it happen as it goes. But yeah, none of us are interested in destroying the work that we've built up all this time. It would happen really fast if one of the founders decided, hey, today's the day, and we just sell a bunch, because the project would be over, or not over, but it would definitely communicate to the rest of the DAO that a message that we're not interested in, going that direction. All of us want this to succeed, and part of being responsible in creating the decentralization and expansion of the DAO is us doing the right thing as well. And there's a lot of self-interest in there too. We want to make this profitable for ourselves as well. And right now it's just too young. It just doesn't make sense economically to even do anything with tokens or price. You don't want to sell it before it's had a chance to crawl and walk. It's gotta be in a completely different place. I'm thinking probably 5 or 10 years from now, in my mind.
Okay, I appreciate all that input. I'll step down now. Thanks for your guys' time.
Thanks, Fanners. We got 5 more speakers right now. I want to say Humble Money 22, and then Brian Fortner, and then we'll come back to FN 2187.
Hey guys, thank you. A couple questions. One, our holdings of blocks in the Humble app, does that make us eligible for the voting rights in the blocks?
No, unfortunately, it doesn't. Listen, my opinion. I shared this today on Discord. I think the Humble app is an amazing place if you want to acquire blocks in small chunks and amass something that is substantial, because you can take advantage of not dealing with all those horrible gas fees. But me personally, I would move some or all or most of those over, if I wanted to be an active participant in the DAO, over to my Metamask wallet so that it can be read and registered. I think the Humble app to acquire blocks is a fantastic thing for very specific certain circumstances. But if you want to participate in the DAO actively, you're going to need to move them back over to MetaMask or a wallet that can be read by the bots that are used to interact with the DAO.
Okay, fair question. Next question is, why the low limit on how much you can buy in the Humble app per week and per month and year?
See, now, I feel like that's a Humble question, but I'll let Adam take a swing at it.
Yeah, I mean, that's literally because you're in fiat world, right? So there's multiple card processors involved, and then also your card issuer, your bank, right? So those limits are set because those processors have to meet a certain risk threshold, right? Because there's a lot of credit card fraud in the crypto world. So that's just to protect the processors. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Last question. Transferring from the Humble wallet back to MetaMask, I haven't done that. Is there a lot of gas fees in that, or is that a cheaper process?
Yeah, if you're gonna transfer from Humble to MetaMask, right now Humble's paying the gas fee for that. That won't be true forever, but that's the case right now.
Perfect. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Sounds like take advantage of it while you can.
Absolutely.
Hey, and just to clarify on that question, if someone doesn't, if they're not concerned about the silver tier or higher, and they don't want to move the majority of their blocks to their MetaMask, they can move as many as just one or a few in order to participate, correct?
100%, Kelly. Great point. If you just want to be in the members only channel, that only takes one block. And if you're not concerned with tiers or, having all of your blocks count towards voting, that's a really good point. If you just want to be in Discord, let me say this. The way we have Discord set up, the general channel is for people who don't have any blocks. And what that channel is meant for is folks who are coming in and they're checking it out and they have questions, but they haven't committed to buying blocks yet. I don't go in general at all. That channel is basically supported by our community members, and they answer questions there and give directions. And if people want to then buy blocks and have their wallets hooked up, people tell them how to do it. It's a really great channel. But if you want to be part of the inside conversation of the DAO, of where we decide what we're voting for, when we're voting for, if you want to hear, Bunker and Big Tex give me a hard time on any given night, you need to be in the tier channels of members only, silver, or gold. And the difference between those channels are members only. A lot of people, we all basically gather there because that's where most people gather. But in silver and gold, if we're talking about different things that we're trying to figure out, how do we present this to the rest of the DAO? We discuss that in silver and gold. And things are usually decided in silver, and then silver decided in gold, and then gold discusses it with silver, and then the two channels together decide when to introduce that information and how to introduce that information into members only. So Kelly brings up a great point. If you want to keep most of your tokens in HUMBL Wallet, fantastic. If you want to be a member of one of the tiered channels, you only need one token.
I think Brian was next, right?
Yep. Hey, how's it going, everybody? So a few of my questions were answered. I was curious on the HUMBL limitations, and that makes sense. But I also purchased some blocks through my MetaMask, and I think the gas fees were as much as that. But I'm coming into some money here in the next few weeks, and I was looking to purchase like $20,000 worth of blocks, but I didn't want to spend, of course, $20,000 in gas fees. Is that the more you purchase, does the gas fee go down, or do you just gotta log in and try to purchase? But it was a little sketch the first time I purchased too, where it all happened, but it was a little kind of tricky, I guess. And I've only been in crypto for a year, so not.
Adam, can you explain how the gas fees work based on if you buy one block or 100,000 blocks?
Yeah, it's not really based on the quantity of blocks that you're buying. It's just the transaction period. So, and when you use Uniswap like that, typically the first time you have to do an approval, which is a separate transaction to approve the contracts to spend your tokens from your wallet. And then you have to facilitate the swap through Uniswap. And sometimes there's a couple transactions that happen behind the scenes. So they may convert your ETH to wrapped ETH in order to do the swap, which just makes the transaction more expensive. So that's why you'll see that on decentralized exchanges where, it might be $125 to do a swap, and that's because there's multiple embedded transactions happening. But if you're buying 100,000 blocks or 10 blocks, it's probably going to be the same gas fee.
Adam, do you want to give some tips on when the best times are to limit what your gas fees would be?
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, I don't really know. Like, you have to, if it seems ridiculously high, sometimes I just wait, right? I mean, could be a time of day issue. It's an auction. The fees are auction based, right? So the more you're willing to pay at a certain time, right, the miners will push the more expensive transactions through during times of congestion. So if the fees are incredibly high, it's because the network's congested and the miners are just taking the highest bids that people are willing to pay. So sometimes it's worth it just to wait. Yeah.
Brian, I think I'm in the same kind of boat as you. Like I'm only a year into crypto, or maybe a little more than that. But learning like about like the time frames and like Adam was saying, the congestion times, and then changing slippage too. It's about your desire to get it pushed through in that time frame. If you say I want these blocks right now, I don't care, and you put the slippage higher, you're going to pay a higher percentage and the higher gas fee. But what I've noticed, and this might be just kind of like off hours, like if early in the morning, late at night, it seems to be lower. And I don't know if that's just coincidental when I'm checking, or if that's kind of just like you said, it's just the time of congestion.
Yep. Sounds good. Now, what is the best way to buy the blocks from MetaMask? Because it seemed a little like, and again, I'm new to this, but I was successful on it, but it was a little clunky. I mean, is it better to have this? Because it didn't seem like it went through Uniswap. It seemed like I put a search out and it found the blocks, and then it made the transaction. It all came through, but it didn't seem like it was like, hey, I want to buy this, and it was that clean.
Did you use the swap feature in MetaMask?
I didn't. It just was. I used like a search function. It found the blocks, and then I put in how much I was going to spend, and then the gas fee. And I didn't do a ton. It was a couple $100, but I've got like 20 grand coming up here in the next few weeks. So I was going to try. I was hoping to do it through HUMBL, but it doesn't sound. I think it's only a $5,000 a year limit through HUMBL, and
there's lots of different ways. I mean, right? You can go to Dex Tools, which will show you all of our liquidity pools on the different Uniswap v3, v2, and Sushi Swap. You can go there directly. There's links. There's an interface on Dex Tools where you can connect your wallet and swap from there, or you can use the swap feature in MetaMask, which is probably the easiest just because it's already there. You just load up ETH as your main token and then hit swap and then select blocks. And as long as you have blocks added to your MetaMask already, it's pretty easy.
Got it.
Yeah.
Brian, I think the marketing team's also, the DAO marketing team is also working on a walkthrough, going through MetaMask and attaching MetaMask to Uniswap and showing everything about importing the token and all that as well. So hopefully we have that in the next couple of weeks as far as the marketing team's concerned.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, guys.
Yep.
Well, you also can go to the blocks.io. There is a whole page dedicated to how to buy blocks.
That too. A lot of resources. Kelly, I think FN, you're actually next.
Okay. So we talk about, like, lots of people talking about the blockchain is supposed to be secure and stuff like that, but we still see a number of hacks happening. And the recent one, I believe, was the wormhole sidechain that lost more than $200+ million. Trying to understand, and maybe this is a question to Calvin, what Blocks does differently to secure not just our chain, but also to help secure our partners?
Well, so
to prevent obviously some sort of a basic hacks and stuff like that.
So there's a lot of probably education that would help on that. First of all, blocks isn't a chain. It's a token that rides on top of Ethereum, but we can cross chain over to different chains. As far as being hacked or something like that, nobody can take your coins. If they're in a MetaMask wallet, it's essentially a wallet where you control the private keys. And the only way that wallet would be compromised is if you gave someone your seed phrase, or if you sign permission in a smart contract for them to access your balances and take them. So for those reasons, you'd want to make sure you stay on a reputable site. But I'm not entirely sure what exposure you might be referring to.
Calvin, didn't Revest recently announce something, one of our partners, that they were going to have some sort of lock that you can put on a wallet? Would that be relevant to what he's speaking of?
Yeah, I mean, if you create a smart contract that essentially you can create a send function, but you can put a date parameter that the coins are kind of stuck in limbo until that date comes by. So you can add a lock to coins in any chain. It's just part of the command that as you sign the transaction and submit that.
Yeah, I totally understand that, and I get it from the blog's perspective. I kind of refer to HUMBL Wallet potentially as a partner of blocks. What can we do to help to secure that?
Oh, I see. Well, there's kind of an old phrase that's come up over the years, and that is that if you don't control the keys to your wallet, they are not your coins. In this case, if you buy coins on the HUMBL app, HUMBL is holding your coins on your behalf, and that is not necessarily the goal of crypto. The goal of crypto is for everybody to control their own value. And so just from an OG standpoint, if I buy something from a centralized exchange or app or group, unless I'm actively trading it or if I'm actively doing something with it, I want that out of the control of that central wallet and into the control of myself. So there are I think features being added. I know that they're adding 2FA to the wallet and other things on the HUMBL app. So there are things that HUMBL themselves are going to be doing to do extra measures to protect what they have. But the safest place to put your coins is in your own wallet.
Got it. And then the second question I have sent to Ghost, since the magic word was mentioned, being airdrop, any updates on the potential next airdrop?
I don't want to steal any of the thunder of the community marketing group because they are the ones who are coming up with the different airdrop campaigns. So I don't know if anyone from the community marketing group wants to tease anything out. I don't know if Chrissy's on or Patriot or Rob. I mean, Yacht, you're also a part of it. I'm not going to steal your thunder. So airdrops are something that is being worked on by community marketing. And if any of you want to say anything, great. If you want to keep it a surprise, I get it.
I don't know, Ghost. I think you kind of already teased a little bit.
Oh no! Oh
do it.
There may or may not be one in the next 2-3 weeks.
There we go. I didn't say it.
I said may or may not. That's a disclaimer, right? I can put that, do I have to put that in quotations?
Yacht is part of the community marketing group, so that's what he said that.
Next post on Discord. Yacht said there is an airdrop in the next 3 weeks. Thank you.
Patriot came up. She probably speak to it better.
Yeah, so we did speak about this internally that we we don't want to spoil too much, but hopefully in the next imminent future, we'll have some teasers out for you guys. Thanks, Ghost.
She said imminent, by the way.
Not me. You're right. Oh, God, it's almost as bad as ubiquitous. Jesus.
I don't know if we'll be proliferating airdrops. I actually have to run. I was just talking to Kelly. I think she's going to run the show for the rest of the night. I think we only have a couple of questions left. So if you guys want to shut it down in the next 15 minutes, that'll be fine too. I got a baby girl home at sick, but I will, I'll hop back on if I can. But Kelly, it's all you. Have a good night, guys.
Oh my gosh, you guys are in trouble now. Just kidding.
Thanks, Yacht.
What's up, Marquise?
So I'm not educated enough on this subject to know whether I'm asking the right question or not, but it seems like a reasonable question. Is there a potential way for someone such as HUMBL to automate a token swap from blocks to from blocks to the data blocks to utilize the side chains? Asking a partner to do this and explaining even a two-step isn't seamless experience and potentially leaves room for an error or hesitation.
I mean, yeah, essentially what we could do is create a blocks liquidity pool where it's just blocks and the sidechain token, the data token. And the partner could directly go to that liquidity pool with their blocks and swap for the other token. So that's something we've considered, but the problem is we really prefer that those sidechain tokens come back into the DAO's control, sort of like in Arcade when you put the tokens in, you get them back. And once they're free like that, then they're sort of free trading there. So there's just some issues there we need to work out. But yeah, right now it's a manual process, but ultimately it will become automated.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, the danger there is that we don't want to inflate the supply using a cross chain, because for example, in Ethereum there is a max of 10 billion coins, and if we created a liquidity pool between the two, we would want to make sure that the, say, 1 billion coins on the side chain have locked up the other billion on the Ethereum, so that there aren't duplicate coins out there, so that we can maintain the integrity of the coin supply.
And then I think we had Token Woman has been waiting for a minute. If you want to ask your question.
Hi, thank you. You guys, thank you for doing this. It's been just incredibly helpful, and I really appreciate you. I have two questions regarding staking. The first one is I'm wondering if anybody would be willing to stick their neck out and talk about or predict what future APY might be for staking. And the second question is if there potentially could be an imminent and prolific, perhaps webinar that could walk us through and take questions about staking, actually do the steps, because some of my friends are in this space, so we are prolific failures at getting that to work.
Maybe we could set up we have a staking contract on testnet, right? So there might be potential for us to deploy the testnet staking contract, set up an interface, and allow people to practice kind of with testnet tokens.
Oh, what a spectacular idea.
Yeah, that might be a fun way to do it. It's sort of like paper trading, right, with no risk. So I think that'd be a cool exercise.
And predictions? I love you, Ghost.
I'm not giving any predictions. Calvin and Adam are in the prediction business, I believe.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we talked about 20%, right? But I don't know. It's sort of a business call, right? That's the number I heard.
Yeah, I would have to. It's ultimately up to our partner, because if they're sponsoring it, then they decide those parameters. They had kind of asked my opinion, and I kind of feel like 20 is a incentivized number for people to show interest, which would benefit them. And I also said that we probably should cap it at 1 million blocks, so that we don't have somebody with 12 million coins sucking up those coins. So we kind of want to do, we want to let them set the parameters and do what they think is best. But I think the original staking program that we did at launch to create the V2 liquidity, those percentages were much higher. And
Yeah,
so
200. There was an extra zero.
yeah, so the incentive there was we were a young coin, and we needed to make sure that our liquidity pools were strong enough. So there was a lot of incentive for that to happen. There's less incentive for HUMBL to just give money away beyond the price of marketing and getting people interested in downloading the app and whatnot. So they'll have to decide on that. 20 is pretty awesome, but it's definitely their idea in the end.
I mean, I'm not that the percentages that you can get from banks on money markets, CDs, and in your savings account aren't really exciting, but yeah, 20% seems a little tiny bit better.
Well, it's the expense of the Ethereum to get 20% that's a little difficult to swallow.
Yeah, let's all get in touch with Ethereum, tell them, because I agree with you. Can they possibly finish that fork that they've been talking about? That would be great.
It'll be years. We all know it.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, that's all I have, but I appreciate it very much, and I love the idea of testing things and being able to try it. But there are some of us on here who wanted to get in at the beginning and weren't able to make it work. And when it's just static information on the website, you can't ask questions. So other tools would be huge, and a lot of people would appreciate it. And I love your openness to think about those things.
Well, in all honesty, I mean, you know, both on Discord and in these spaces, it's really important to the founders. And again, you know, the original founders, Calvin, Adam, Jeff, and Brian, who have selfishly moved their founder claims to the DAO and have given you all control of what they gave birth to, and they've been moved to administrative members. I know what's really important to all of our founders and those of us who are advisors is we really feel really strongly about transparency, and we try and demonstrate that in every way we possibly can. I hope that this and all spaces are an example of that. I mean, we've been on now for over 2 hours, which we're very happy to be able to answer any and all questions, because we want all of you who are currently participants in the DAO and who are considering being participants in the DAO. We want all of you to ask what you want, and we want to be completely transparent and tell you everything that we know, think, and are planning, because everything we do on behalf of you.
Ghost, the transparency is prolific, and I'm proud to be partnered with you. Thank you for this.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Hey, CM, I know you've been up for a while. Did you have another question? No? Vina, do you have a question?
What about white people?
I don't even understand the question, but we'll go to the next question.
What about them?
Oh, God. Kelly, do we have, you know, I think we're at about 2 hours and 15 minutes, and
yeah,
Calvin's got 412 children. And, I mean,
yep, it's a miracle you haven't heard him yet.
We don't have more. I did want to end or just say here at the end, I can't express enough just how helpful Discord is, and going back to the fact that it only takes one token to participate in there. I know I myself, I'm an immersive learner. I hate reading the directions. I just like to jump in. And it can be a little intimidating at first, but everyone in there is so helpful. Everyone's done a great job setting up side channels so you can see specifically what it is that you're getting into as you enter them. And it's a really great place to get questions answered, and Ghost is very active in there and very entertaining and very helpful at times too. So I just encourage anyone listening to pop in and take advantage of your CEO status.
Yeah, that's a great point. You all are CEOs of a company that is growing rapidly and super successfully, and I think Kelly brings up a great point. Take advantage of it. Hop into Discord. I know that not everybody has a ton of time, but even if you just spend a little bit of time in there, I'm in there often. Calvin's in there whenever he can. Adam jumps in and out. And, if you post a question that's a technical question, whether it's in DAO developers or anywhere, and you tag Werewolf, even if he can't get to that question immediately, he comes in and he will ultimately answer all your questions. Discord's a place where we gather, where we meet, where we run this DAO. So I encourage everyone, jump into Discord, jump into helping to manage a company that you have chosen to participate in, because your words, your voice matters, and you have the unique ability to actually be the steward of your own success for what you have decided to participate in this DAO. Your voice will be heard. No voice goes unnoticed.
CM, I see you jumped back in. Did you have a question real quick before we close the room? All right, CM, you're going to have to inbox that question or hit us up on Discord, because I think everyone's ready to retire for the night.
Yeah, Kelly, thank you so much. And for those of you who have been following along on Discord, Kelly has, in a very short period of time, Kelly has, she's one of the great networking ambassadors to the DAO. She's out there constantly looking for opportunities, awesome, talking to everybody about us. And apparently Kelly does cartwheels. So Kelly, we look forward to one day seeing you in person do those cartwheels. I know I do.
I learned how to do a cartwheel before I meet you all.
Hey, Kelly, I don't know how to operate this Twitter thing, but did you call on me?
Oh yeah, I was saying before we close up, did you have a quick question?
I have 1,000 questions, and I'm going to talk to you about later. And thank you for inviting me to this and speaking to me about all this stuff. I got 3 pages of notes. And honestly, with a layman terms, I know a lot of people are interested in the financial aspects of it, but my background is organization and setup, and it was really informative about the LLC and the autonomy and the legalization about it, and then trying to figure out how these things, especially with Block, and I got dual background, so I kind of wanted to ask about how this would apply to photography, videography, etc., and so on. And when you're trying to make something like this a part of the norm, when you have media that produces clips and maybe they're altered or not, but would Block be one of these things that media organizations can use to verify what those this is authentic? So would this be something that when we talk about the utilitarian side of it or the utility side of it, and believe me, I'm just a novice in all this stuff, and I've got 1,000 questions, but in my background, it was how would you use Block or blockchain or the block verification for a media use?
Just speaking generically, what we're talking about is the ability to be able to authenticate the originality of anything. So if you apply that to the media space, I think you'll see how there are certain piracy things that happen in media. it's all about authenticating originality, and
Right.
so all of that will apply. And I think a lot of that has to do with verified by blocks. By the way, based on your background, I encourage you, if you haven't jumped into Discord yet, there was just a vote passed for a community committee, which is the operations committee, and ops is has been approved and is going to be, quote unquote, organizing the DAO. So if you have a background in operations, I encourage you to come into Discord, reach out to the folks in operations and ask them if you can join that part of the community. What I'd like to say on a parting note before we all hang up is, you know, I don't want what we started this call with to get lost. We had some very exciting news about how verified by blocks can be productized and wrapped up and then sold to any number of potentials where authenticity is needed to be verified and can be done so by the blockchain. And that was really important, groundbreaking news that has been figured out. Also that is being patented in a patent that will be called verified by blocks.
Oh, absolutely. And Ghost, I don't mean to cut you off with that, but I think that was the one thing that I really keyed in on, because, you know, I have, you know, I this is the first time I've ever been on Twitter. Discord is kind of hard to navigate, and I'll go back to figure this stuff out. But at the same time, I have people in my life, in my structure, and you know, these are people that will invest in something because they're very old and they don't want to deal with things. So you have to explain it to them. So I do appreciate the fact that you had mentioned the educational portion of it. And I got to get on Discord and figure that out, and I'll talk to Kelly about it later. But that blockchain or verified by block thing is very, you know, it's innovative, and it's the future. It's the cusp of the future. And I think you know, from everything that I heard tonight, like it's you know, very legit. Like it's not, you know, you guys believe in what you're doing, and you've made steps, and like you know, I've got legal questions, I've got like LLC questions, I got all these other questions, but I was very, you know, fortunate that Kelly invited me to like listen to this, and you know, I've, you know, as much as I can comprehend it, because I'm basically like a noob on all this stuff, but yeah, I absolutely like agree with you. Like just getting the information out there is phenomenal. And you talked about a community thing, and you know, joining Discord and everything else, but you know, not a lot of people are on it. But if I have to explain this to somebody, or if I want to get somebody on board, these are the resources that I got right now, right?
Yeah, I mean, listen, have Kelly help you come into Discord if you have any questions about our legal organization. DM me. I've played an integral role in setting up the legal organization of this DAO. But you know, for everyone on and listening who is not in Discord, come into Discord. It's amazing what's going on there. It's amazing that a community of 2,400 plus people are gathering at hundreds of people at a time to help run a business and grow a business. And, you know, we are at the very beginning, people, and we have not even scratched the surface of where we will go. So I'm going to ask Kelly to close us out.
Yeah, I'm sorry for the last minute requests that are trying to come up, but we'll have to save it for next time, or Yacht's going to fire me as a co-host. So
yeah.
All right, you guys, we'll have a really good night, and this is recorded, so go ahead and share that with anyone that you think would want to hear what we talked about tonight, and see you all in Discord.